Hey guys, Matthew here once again with a endgame update on the Venom Gyre Strength Stack Scion. And long story short, it's a really good skill. So nothing that a lot of people didn't already know, but it works really well for clear. Like for clear, it's going to be hard to beat for almost any build except for a few of the really high end. Um, just meta farmer whatevers, because this thing has some really tasty efficient clear baked into it with enough projectiles with either some chain or some fork, and then the whirling blade action. You are just throwing out constant projectiles everywhere, in every direction, whether you're like trying to or not. So it does end up clearing really well, and we got to level 94 pretty damn fast, and could have gone further I suppose, but there's not much point. This here is a flawless Chila Breachstone, and you can see that sometimes there's going to be a tough arch nemesis mob, but as long as there's lots of mobs to hit, then there's going to be lots and lots of forking and like sort of proliferation through that sort of sense. So it's kind of one of those builds and situations where more is more. Like the more sort of stuff there is, the more it's going to propagate and feel good, which feels kind of similar in clear and capacity to like a cast on crit volatile and detonate dead. So it can just like handle more and more sort of thing. That said, it still does have its limits, of course. Like, you know, it's not. If things get particularly tough, I don't have that much DPS. It's something like, let's say, 8 to 10 million without the whirling blades up, and then the whirling blade factor is what makes it a lot bigger and better. There are much better versions of Venom Gyre out there that you can find, especially just this sort of build, but with replica Alberons instead, for example, even just flat chaos hitting, but ultimately building into some poison yields some big results as well. But as I was saying, basically the big difference for this skill over some other skills is going to be that big whirling blade punch. So if you get to your 30 stacks and then name lock an enemy with the whirling blades, it can just deliver a huge amount of extra burst, and that is something. It's like a very similar skill to Spectral Throw, but then Spectral Throw has a different funky interaction, whereas this has its own thing with the whirling blades. So it's yeah, you kind of pick what you like more and then go with it, I think. And they're very similar builds. Like you can build a Spectral Throw the same way as a Venom Gyre and vice versa, but you do benefit more from more projectiles with Venom Gyre. And in the end, took on pretty much every Uber except for Exarch. I tried Exarch twice, I think, and then just, yeah, look, it's maybe doable, but the character's not quite high enough on DPS to overpower it, and not thick enough to tank most things. Like I can tank the Minotaur for a bit, can tank some Exarch attacks. Since I'm block capped and do have like 30,000 armor, some shit like that, it's still, it can tank some shit, but it's not going to be tanking too much long term. And then the DPS, it's more of a burst window, and it is also a bit specific. So sometimes the DPS is really good, and then sometimes it's going to be kind of bad because it's up to what the boss fight is going to ask of you. So this is doing some single target testing against the pre-Eater of Worlds boss, and you can see that the whirling blades, if I'm just standing there and attacking pretty good, then the whirling blades can dish out some really big burst, and for a lot of targets and bosses and shit, that's enough to just like instantly kill them. And then, as I was saying, there's going to be bosses where you just can't attack and whirling blades very reliably, and then the special portion of Venom Gyre is basically lost on you. So Maven was kind of one of those, and that's why you can see some Spectral Throw action here. I did test Spectral Throw in the exact same setup against Maven, and it's okay. It's probably not quite as good as the way I built the Dex stack Spectral Throw, but still pretty good in the exact same setup, because with Maven it's pretty tough to get Venom Gyre actually like using the whirling blades against her, since she teleports around a lot and there's a lot of stuff going on where you can't just like freely go ahead and attack. That said, I did kill Maven with Venom Gyre in the end. It took a few goes, because it's just tough to do the fight mechanically, and I didn't actually build my character like at all for the purposes of Ubers really, because spell suppress is incredibly important for Uber fights to actually like be able to complete most of them comfortably, because almost every attack they do that's important is a spell, and that cuts the damage incoming in half. So without the spell suppress, unless you've got a really good life pool and some good resists as well, you're just going to be taking one shots to everything all over the place. This also yielded my first ever reliquary key, so all of the Ubers, or maybe even the regulars, I don't know, have a chance to drop this sort of key where you can then go in and open a box that gives you a piece of loot that has some foil tinting on it from that boss fight. It's pretty much just, yeah, giving you some shit that Maven drops, basically, which is what happened here. It's actually amazing that it's my first one from the entire league, and I've killed a lot of bosses and a lot of Ubers, so they're very rare. They may as well not fucking exist. And yeah, cool stuff there. Once again, Uberceras, terrible boss fight. Yeah, I managed to kind of just like brute force him a bit in the end with some good DPS. And then I'll just leave you with what was a pretty painful Uber Elder experience. Like I said, without some suppress and all that, it is tough. You need to dodge everything, and Uber Elder is a tough fight to reliably dodge everything on. But I think I bricked 3 sets in the end and then got it on this one. So power of the gaming sleeve. Hope you guys enjoyed this build. Venom Gyre, very good skill. I think you can look into it on plenty of other builds, and especially just a basic poison setup should be nice. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Let me see. I don't know, man. Something feels wrong. Too early in the morning? Like, who bosses at 6 AM? Who wakes up, has a coffee, and then just starts bossing? Thank you, Smash Max.
Putrefy, rot, spoil, and fester.
I agree with Metal.
That lonely island dude.
Okay. Thanks, God, Mike, 41 months.
Can I not have but a moment's respite?
And dude, immediately have to deal with another one of these phases.
Gaze into the abyss.
I was ready to dodge the Shaper thing, I think, but then Elder threw out his trash tentacle thing. Oh, thing. Spear. Dude, Elder is placed so not nicely right now. I can't believe a Tentacle Boy got his ground degen off. Ah! Just trying to place that ball.
Ultimate chaos.
That's fine. That was basically impossible to get through. With where fucking Elder is, considering how I want to dodge usually. Elder being over there is cringe as fuck.
Gaze into the abyss. Embraced by
Can I not have but a moment's respite?
My burst can be really big, but I just almost never actually get to use it. Just how kind of difficult it is to set it up.
embraced by
Wait, what? I thought he was embracing misery or some shit. This is bad. Come on, I dodged the fuck out of that.
embraced by
How Elder Slam works. He goes up into the air, does a big circular attack thing. If you stand directly under him while he's doing it, you don't get hit. And then when he flies back down, he does a big slam, you just dodge it. Ideally. Well, that wasn't worth it. I mean, gaming sleeve obviously paid off. What did I do? Brick 3 sets, I think it was. And then got him with a few portals to spare. What was the main difference? Gaming sleeve.